So welcome along to Game of the Week, and it should be a belter. Hull KR taking on the Saints at Craven Park this Saturday at 3 p.m. If you weren't watching Super League Raw Weekly, well, you might not know about this. It's going to be back. Yes, it's back. It's the Super League Raw Quiz Night online. You need two devices, one to watch, one to play along with. That'll be your phone. Go over to our Eventbrite page. In the comment, you will be able to go over to there after the Game of the Week show and go and secure your tickets. Limited availability. It's going to be a brilliant night. Right, back to Game of the Week. And it's the top of the table Saints taking on fifth place Hull KR. It should be an absolute belting game, this one. I mean, it's arguable at this moment in time to say that Hull KR are perhaps the team in form. They have been on a really good run of late, of course, getting through in the Challenge Cup quarter-final. Great win, that one, against the Lee Leopards. In Super League, the last five, beating Huddersfield Giants, Hull FC, London Broncos. They got hammered, of course, at Catalan Dragons in Perpignan by 36 points to 6 before a brilliant win last week, 26-10, against the World Club champions, the Wigan Warriors. As for the St Helens, of course, they were went out badly against Warrington in the Challenge Cup, if you remember. But in the last five in Super League, they've beaten the Leeds Rhinos, the Wigan Warriors in a really good contest on Good Friday. They lost also at the Catalan Dragons, but the last two, they beat Hull FC and the Huddersfield Giants marginally at the weekend. Like I say, it is arguable at the moment that KR may be coming into this one in slightly better form and with more confidence. It's going to be very interesting indeed. Last year, it wasn't round 10 that these two met. It was round 9. $26 points to 14 the last time round in round number 9 of the Betfred Super League last season. And like I say, Hull KR maybe just coming into this one in better form. There are the two 21-man squads ahead of kickoff, and two really interesting sides. I mean, certainly I think Hull KR come into this in fine fettle, better condition without question. As for the Saints, they're missing some key personnel for this game. Of course, no Tommy Makinson on the wing. That's a big blow for them. Of course, Alex Walmsley out for the season, and of course no Ignatius Parsi yet for Saints. So like I say, down the middle, maybe advantage KR. More on that in a few moments time. How do we expect these two sides to line up? Well, for Hull KR, no surprises. 9 levels at fullback we expect. Burgess and Ryan Hall on the wings. Gildart to retain his place after a brilliant performance against Wigan. Also, of course, Petter Hiku in great form. Tyrone May, Mikey Lewis will be in the house. Jesse Sue and Jai Whitbread we expect to start in the front row alongside Jez Litton. Dean Hadley, unshakable at the moment and unmovable. We'd expect Tangino to come off the bench as an impact player. But Batchelor, of course, James Batchelor, up against his brother in this. That's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? And Elliot Minchella at loose forward. Matt Parcell, Staunton and Sam Luckley on the bench, we expect, for KR. No George King. Maybe there's a lot of rumours around George King leaving Hull KR. Does that mean it's advantage Staunton and Luckby? We believe so. That said, don't be surprised if George does make an appearance. As for the Saints, Wellesby, we expect to go back to fullback because Lewis Dodd is back in the 21. Will the man that potentially is on his way to the South Sydney Rabbitohs come back for the Saints? On the wings, Blake, and we expect T. Ritson. Of course, John Bennison taken off in that game against Huddersfield. Maybe this is the opportunity for T. Ritson to get his first outing of the season. Percival and Hurrell will be in the centres, we believe. Lomax and Dodd, Matautia and Lees to start in the front row. That's the way that we're going. It could be Sirenan, maybe, but we do think it'll be more than likely Sione Matautia. Daz Clark to start, Whitley and Batchelor and Knowles finishing off the starting 13 with Bell, Moses Mbai, Delaney and Sirenan on the bench, we would expect going into this game. Right, let's take a look then at how these two go in terms of backs and forwards and all the rest of it. First and foremost, let's take a look at the meter makers. Here you go for the back line. And as you can see, it's advantage to Hull KR, 597 taking on 390. Now, of course, we've got to take into account here that T. Ritson is yet to play. So, of course, you could probably add about another 100 metres on that had Ritson been playing. But there's no doubt about it. I mean, look at the backfield. 4 of the starting 5 players for Hull KR we would expect, well, on the day to start, are all over averaging 100 metres per game. That is outstanding stuff from the backs when you consider that only Wellesby is averaging over 100 metres a game for St Helens. That could be a concern. We know that, it's metres aplenty at the moment at Hull KR. They really are in fine form. What about their breaks? Well, again, really interesting, 27-17. If you consider that, again, that even if T. Ritson banged in maybe 3, maybe 4 alongside his colleagues, it'd still be advantage to KR. Again, as you can see as well, a really good spread. I mean, the right edge, without doubt, the most potent. Look at Evans as well coming in on the arch. Some really good breaks. That's where the meters are coming from. They have been superb. As for the Saints, of course, we know that Hull, if you're putting 20 metres out, he's gonna do a few line breaks and get over the line. But Jack Wellesby is their main threat as far as breaks is concerned out the back line. And of course, that then goes into tries scored as well. Look at this, 21-13. Really interesting. Again, look at the really good balance. I mean, the right edge for the Robins, 11 tries to 7 to the left edge. But yeah, as you can see there, right the way across the back line, meters, breaks, and tries all going the way of Hull KR. Now, that is quite significant, we believe. Let's do exactly the same now, but in the middle units. And these are the middle units we expect to start. We think Sue and Whitbread will start, as we've already said. Dean Hadley, Batchelor, and Minchella. 338-379, the forward unit of the Saints, doing it a little bit stronger in terms of meters made. So, like I say, if it's a game down the middle, maybe, just maybe, a bit of an advantage for Saints. But, like I say, the moment they're having to do it tough, we know Wormsley's going to be very interested indeed. Does that then turn itself into bust? Well, yeah, it does. 53-48. I mean, look at Whitbread there, 17. But look at Matt Whitley, 26 out of second row. That's an outstanding effort from Matt Whitley, and that's what gives Saints the edge. Again, really interesting. Whitley on the left, pretty much doing it alone. On the right-hand side, though, Lees really and Batchelor and Knowles on the arch really doing well as well. It's going to be really interesting to see if Saints do punch down that middle time and time again. Is that the best way of them to maybe win this game, to make it a battle down the middle as opposed to the edge? We've already seen in the graphics that have just come and gone how good Hull KR currently are out the back line. And of course, then it comes to tries again. Saints, no surprises. If they're getting more meters, if they're getting more busts, the chances are they're getting more tries, and they are 6-5. Still to get off the mark, Elliot Minchella, Jai Whitbread, and Matty Lees. But again, look at Whitley. Not only is he doing it in terms of getting through tackle busts, but 3 tries for him. And look at James Batchelor outdoing his brother Joe 3-1. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Speaking before this game, of course, have been the 2 coaches. Let's hear now from Willie Peters and from Paul Wellens.
Everything, I think, we went back to, just running hard. I know it can be a bit of a cliche sort of comment around attack, but if you don't run hard, you don't get quick play of the balls, you don't, be able to see space because the ruck's so slow and you're not getting any ruck speed. So, I thought that we did that well. And then defensively against a very good team, I thought we handled a lot of their threats. Our system stood up. We let in a soft try at the end there that we weren't too happy with, but overall against a quality team like Wigan, to keep them to 10, I think it was, that's a pleasing effort. We pride ourselves in defence as number one. That's our number one focus, and I thought we stood up there.
Yeah, he's come back into the 21. He's trained with the team today. Looked really sharp. Looked more like the Lewis Dodd that started the season. Not carrying those bumps and bruises and aches and pains. So should he pull up okay tomorrow, there's every chance he'll come back into the team on Saturday.
No, we're excited. We're excited. I said it last week when we got beat against Catalans. There was no better game to play against the world champions a week after. No disrespect, but if you're playing against a team lower in the competition and then you go win that game, does it have the same credibility? And do you get the same sort of belief internally? Probably not. But we went and beat the world champions, and now we're playing against. I think they're the best defensive team in the comp, as you said. They've won how many titles over the last sort of 5 or 6 years. So we know what we're up against. But again, if we can just control what we can, and I always say it, but we talk about performance. Not so much result or not result, but just keeping that best and worst not too far away. If we do that for long periods in the game, then like last week, we'll give ourselves every opportunity.
I would go beyond tricky. I would just say it's an extremely tough fixture. And last week's results against Wigan probably, it only reaffirmed, what I already thought about Hull KR. They're a much improved team. A club very much moving forward in the right direction. Really strong squad with fantastic players. In the coach Willie Peters is obviously a man who's really galvanised them as a team, and that's very evident in a lot of things they do. So a huge challenge, but one that we are extremely looking forward to.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, I'm 2025. Is when my contract is up to. Very happy at the club. Like as I said, my family and I love the club and really happy.
Yeah, down the track, is that an NRL aspiration? But that's for another day.
Yeah, down the track, the answer would be yeah. I always I worked in the NRL. Always wanted to come to the Super League and coach in the Super League. Do I have aspirations down the track? Yeah, I do. But I've certainly got a job here that I want to fulfil, and hopefully I can fulfil that for a while. There's a vision at the club that I share the same vision with the board and the playing group and the staff, and we've started a job, and I'd like to stay and finish it.
No surprises, really. Willie Peters, of course, is being linked to NRL jobs. But as you heard there, he wants to stay at Hull KR until at least the end of his contract in 2025. That's good news, isn't it, for Super League? Paul Wellens as well, laying heaps of praise on Willie Peters for the job that he has been doing at Hull KR. Like I say, Hull KR last week, absolutely superb against the Wigan Warriors. They'll be coming into this with bags of confidence. Paul Wellens very, very mindful of that. And of course, he was talking about Lewis Dodd, another player who has been linked to the NRL. And this is our first key battle of game of the week. Mikey Lewis, Lewis Dodd. You heard the panel on Super League Raw talk about this on Wednesday night, in terms of very surprised that it's Dodd and not Lewis packing his bags for the NRL. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Look at Mikey Lewis there. I mean, in terms of run for 809 metres to 265. Yes, he's had one game more, but, very different in the way they orchestrate the games. I mean, Dodd, as you can see there, kicks in general, playing attacking kicks. He tends to try and control games with his kicking game. Lewis has got a bit of everything. He is box office. He's Mikey Lewis. This is a real key one. And I, for one, I'm going to be fascinated with all of what's going on with Lewis Dodd at the moment. This 5-year contract that's being talked about for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. I mean, if Mikey Lewis shines on the day, I mean, maybe the Rabbitohs will look at this and think, maybe got the wrong number 7. It's going to be very interesting indeed to see, can Lewis back up all of this talk about an NRL number 7 spot? Well, we're going to find out on Saturday. Another key position is, of course, number 9 too. Fantastic, because Daz Clark has been there, done it, got the T-shirt, Mr. Consistency. But look at Jez Litton's rise. I mean, you look at these two in terms of their statistics and how they compare. Jez Litton really, really close to Darryl Clark on the stats this year. He's getting better and better every year, is Jez Litton. We're seeing more of him now over Matt Parcell. But again, really interesting. We saw Daz Clark and what he did against the Huddersfield Giants. He turned that game with his runs from dummy half and the way in which he could maybe, get into the face of Jake Connor. Will he do something similar to Mikey Lewis? It's not just what he does on the ball. He might be what he does off the ball going into this game, which is going to be a really fascinating battle. And then the other big battle that we're going to pick out is Elliot Minchella and Morgan Knowles. It's arguable that this has been Morgan Knowles' best campaign thus far for many years. He's having a great season, and he's got to try tackle bust, but look at the meters. That's the key element. Morgan Knowles would have been in and around Elliot Minchella in seasons gone by, but look at that there with a game less, 735 meters to 577. We're seeing a far more rounded performance from Morgan Knowles this season, and I have to say I've been very impressed with the St Helens number 13. Those three positions really critical, and we've not even talked about, of course, Johnny Lomax. We haven't talked about Tyrone May, Wellesby, or Evil. So this is really interesting. These are the three areas for me that are very key to this game. These three key battles could determine which way this one goes. Of course, we spoke at length in Super League Raw Weekly about this week's game of the week. Let's take a look at that. But before we do, let's listen from our sponsor.
He's target 5. Here comes Koala.
Love that crunch.
Let me add a little bit of spice.
Yeah, it's the big one. It's Hull KR against Saints on Saturday. That's the game that we're going to say, Paul, right on cue, Mr. Francis. Sit back, have a tipple. We're about to debate your team, my friend. Current positions, 5th taking on 1st. Evens for Hull KR at home, which, it's an interesting one, that. Saints 10-11. Now, I'm a bit surprised by them odds because the way KR played against Wigan, and let's be fair, Saints only just got over the line. Saints are not in great form. They seem a team at the moment that are on the edge. That's not to say they can't turn it on in any one game, but for Saints to be favourite in this, I think is really interesting. Mikey Lewis, Johnny Lomax is a fascinating little tussle that's on the horizon. Right, the last 5, Hull KR, Giants win, FC win, Broncos win, a bad loss in Perpignan, but they won't be the only team to suffer a bad defeat in Perpignan. Again, just ask their opponents that are coming to the Craven Park this weekend. And, of course, a great win against the Warriors. Nobody saw a win of that calibre. I mean, people might saw a win for KR because they've got it in them to beat the Warriors and they've got a good record at Craven Park against the Warriors, but not by that margin. They were sensational. As for the Saints, of course, lost. No, sorry, they didn't lose against you. They won against the Leopards, didn't they? They won against you. Is that all wrong? That's all wrong. My apologies. Forget what I put there. Like I said, I was right up against it coming into this. So the last 5 for the Saints, don't panic. Leeds, they won. They beat the Wigan Warriors. They lost at the Catalan Dragons. They won at FC and they won at Huddersfield Giants. So forget what's written there. It's a load of tosh. There you go. Happy days. Right, we're going to start with, we'll start with Steph. This should be a belter. Should be a belter. Over to you.
It should be. Yeah, it should be a great game. OKR obviously coming off that fantastic demolition of the Warriors. And Saints with the lucky 1-pointer at the end there. So is it OKR again?
It's at Craven Park.
It's such a big factor, Craven Park, for me.
Greg Roach agrees with you. Look on the screen.
Yeah, that's why Greg's a legend, because he's on the same wavelength, isn't he? No, it is. It's such a. It'll be another sellout at Craven Park for this one. I think. I just think Saints' form isn't. They're not. Although they got the win against Huddersfield, they're not firing on all cylinders at the moment for me. And sorry to the new Saints fan who introduced himself there. I'd love to be saying the Saints win on this one, but I've got to go KR. And I think they're going to put a performance in here again. I think it's going to be 9-17.
Well, Alex Sharp's in the chat. He's gone for Dawn now. He's going for me. What's going on, Alex lad? Are you on one tonight? Well, look, Alex, mate, no disrespect, but they're not. They've got beat to Warrington. They got beat at Catalan. Let's be fair, they just about edged out Huddersfield Giants. That's not great form. If you're saying, yes, the top of the league, I get that. And I do. They got off to a 3-game winning start to the season. But over the last few weeks, they have shown a bit of fragility. That's not the usual, Saints, my friend. So
absolutely, you'd think that just to contradict Alex there on that one, you would have thought that St Helens would have put a 9-17 on Huddersfield at home. That's in reality. That's
Okay.
and I don't think many people would disagree with that.
No.
They've got Dodd who's being dropped because of a groin injury, but he was dropped. So they're not the Saints that we know at the moment, and until they put a score on someone really good, I'll not change my mind on that. But OKR are a very, very good side, especially at home.
Alex now's in agreement with me. Good man, Alex. Good man. Paul Francis, he's in agreement. He thinks that this could be a bit of a night for them. And all I would say is this is for your eyes only. Dawn Baker's gone in with another Bond reference that Mikey Lewis with his license to thrill. Thunderbolts coming left, right and centre. Good effort indeed. Loving that. Absolutely outstanding. He's got diamonds on the soles of his shoes and diamonds are forever. Right, Joel, over to you.
Yeah.
You've stunned him to death.
No, I'm just kind of thinking about what Steph said. It makes a really good point there. That they've not been firing.
I'm here for Joel.
Yeah, I have put Saints 1-8, and I think they will put a better performance in. And I say a better performance. A lot of people said that Saints didn't play well against us. Let's be honest. We played really well. We stopped them playing. Yeah. So let's just get that right. We stopped them playing.
Yeah.
100%.
But on the flip side to that is there's a lot of pressure now. And there shouldn't be a lot of pressure on them because they're still right up there.
Absolutely.
But the pressure comes from the fans, from the club, from the wider league. And you would expect that Saints would go and beat Hull. The issue is Hull is a very good team, as you've said. I'm going to stick with me 1-8.
The Robins.
The Robins, of course, yes. Yeah, sorry, yeah. The KR are the better team, yes. But I do think Saints are going to have to pull out a 1-8 victory if they want to keep up there at the top. Because otherwise it becomes imposter syndrome. But I don't think they are.
St Helens imposter syndrome. You heard it here first on Super League Raw. Over to Greg.
Well, there's no doubt they're going to knock the living daylights out of each other.
Oh!
I'm here all week. And if there's any quantum of solace for our Saints,
use that.
All coming in.
I think Saints have somehow got to the top of the league. I don't know how because they're not playing brilliant this season, but they have, and that's a sign of a good team that can somehow rise up the league without playing well and without catching people's attention and still be there. Having said that, KR were brilliant last week. And I think, I'm going for KR 1-8. I really am. Right. KR 1-8. I just see, as I think, was it Greg said in the chat that the atmosphere there, the home crowd, it's not an extra man, it's an extra 10 men for KR when they get on it. And I can see KR winning 1-8.
What were the odds, Dave? What were
the odds? The odds, surprisingly, have Saints as the favourites for this one. The Saints are 10-11 on, evens for KR, which really surprised. Dawn Baker's having a bit of jest there, saying well out, which is good sport. No issues with that.
Maybe we could go Casino Royale and put a few bets.
It's all coming out here, isn't it? I think we only had from Russia We Love that we haven't got a view to a kill. We've only got a couple to go. Outstanding. Paul, you'll have to watch that on rerun, mate. We're already an hour and 50 in. Outstanding stuff. Never write off the Saints, says David Pye. There you go. Look, interesting this because I've gone KR 9-17. Schofield's gone KR 9-17. Van Form's gone KR 1-8. Joel is the only person in all of the predictions that has gone against the majority. We've all gone Wigan. We've all gone Giants, Leeds, Warrington and Lee. Joel is the only one that has gone a different team to the masses. So, you know, I will bow to Mr. Scholes at the end of the week if he manages to get a couple of points off the back of this one. It will be a mighty fine effort. Right, before we... So there you go. That was Super League Raw Weekly debating this game. And just to confirm, these were the predictions. Gary Schofield, myself, going 9-17 KR. Greg, Steph, and the fans forum all going KR 1-8. Just Joel back in the Saints 1-8. Could this be a big, big week for Joel Scholes in the prediction league? We will have to wait and see. Right, let's take a look at two of the game breakers, and there's no real surprise. Player profile has got to be Petter Hiku. He's having an incredible season for the Robins. 31 years of age, 9 appearances now in Super League this season, 7 tries, 4 assists. That's incredible stats, isn't it? 5 breaks on average a game, 29 tackle busts on average a game. He also is doing enough in D, 80 tackles this season, and over 1,200 metres in Super League. There's no doubt St Hiku has gone back into the centres. He has been box office, absolute box office. That's where he played in the NRL. He's played the majority of his career in the centres, and you're seeing why. He is sensational on that right edge, getting a real good combination now as well with Joe Burgess. That is a big, big pressure point for Saints. The right edge of Hull KR, and still on the left, you've got Ryan Hall to contend with. But there's no doubt at the moment, KR seem to be favouring that right edge. That is a big, big problem for St Helens that they're going to have to solve. As for Saints, there's no doubt their best player, Jack Wellsby. Has he hit the ground running this season? Well, you know, not really. I mean, it's mad to say that when you look at these stats, really. But Wellsby at the moment, for me, there's so much more in him. And could this be the game where Jack grabs his team by the scruff of the neck in adversity? They're not, you know, didn't play really that well. Got away with one last week against Huddersfield Giants. Lewis Dodd moving on. Alex Walmsley now being announced as out for the season. They need a talisman. They need somebody to grab him by the scruff of the neck and take him forward. And I'm sorry, Jack, it has to be you. You need to now start showing why you've got all this promise. He's 23 years of age. He's captain England, this guy. So he's got to now start to galvanise his Saints team. 9 appearances, 6 tries, 5 assists. Fantastic stats again. 9 breaks, 29 busts, 48 tackles in D, and again, over 1,000 metres thus far in Super League. For me personally, these two players, really, really important for both sides. It's going to be fascinating to see which one of those two come out. I think there's just battles all across the park. Down the middle, do you know what? It's pretty close. It is pretty close down the middle. I think you could almost argue Saints might be just edging that a little bit, just a little bit. But in terms of the backs, there's no doubt the backs is all KR at the moment. I think they've got far. I think the Tyrone May and the Lewis combination is starting to really mature. That's really showing signs of great promise. The Dodd factor, Dodd coming back in. You know, how's the team took the news that he might be going off to South Sydney? It's going to be unbelievable to see Lewis Dodd back on the field. Then again, what if he didn't play Dodd? What would that say? Is Lewis Dodd going to South Sydney this year? There's another question. I think there's going to be a lot of questions asked after this game, no matter what happens on the night. But if Lewis Dodd doesn't play, could he be leaving early? There's another thing for you guys to consider. Right, what are the bookies saying with regard to this one? Well, it's changed a little bit since weekly. 21-20 is now the... Is now Hull KR, so they're not evens anymore. The Saints still favourites 5-6. Look at that try score. Joe Burgess 8-1. Jack Wellsby, just spoke about him, 11-1. If you fancy a 13-point pluser, 3-1 the Saints, 9-2 Hull KR. And if you fancy an anytime try scorer, Petter Hiku, we just saw him a few moments ago, 9-4. Or what about Daz Clark from dummy half at 4-1? If you want to go and take a look at more great odds and all the rest of it, get yourselves over to our sponsors, Rugby League 3 Quarters, over on their Facebook page. They'll be talking all things betting with regards to this game and every other game during the course of round 10. So there you go. That's the analysis show. As that helps you make up your mind, who is going to win game of the week this week? Will it be KR or will it be the Saints? One thing's for certain, it should be brilliant fair, absolutely outstanding. Of course, after that game, we go to the LSV for Lee against the Castleford Tigers. And of course, just been announced whilst we've been recording this that John Asiata is leaving Lee at the end of the season. He's going to Hull FC. More to follow on that over the coming days. Certainly that'll be talked about on both the Final Whistle podcast and Super League Raw Weekly next week. Don't forget the quiz tickets. They're now available. Go and have a look in the comments. Go and get yourself over to Eventbrite. Come and join us for a great night. You never know, you might win a brilliant, brilliant prize. Dawn Kirkby won the competition in April. She got a signed Hull KR rugby ball. She was delighted. So there you go. Come and join us at the Super League Raw Quiz Night, 13th of May. That's another edition of Game of the Week in the record books for another week. Enjoy this one. Don't forget, 3 o'clock on Saturday is the big, big kickoff. We'll be back next week with another Game of the Week. Bye for now, folks.